Tony D and Little Joan in the background, and this is a screenwriter's take on Hellboy, the Crooked Man. So I'm going to give you my non-spoiler review and then the spoiler review. Smash a like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. Links in the description. Comedy horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys, books 1 through 16, available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. So the short review of this, non-spoiler, is it's really good. It's a low-budget horror movie. It's tons of action. It doesn't need to be a big giant production. Jack Casey is great in the role. It's got witches and monsters, and I thought it had a bit of an abrupt but satisfying ending. It goes 99 minutes, which is perfect. Yeah, you don't want to go over that. The only downside is it didn't seem to do any business. I don't think it got enough promotion, quite frankly. Mike Mignola worked on the script. I mean, what more do you want? It's totally legit Hellboy. This is exactly what you would expect from a Hellboy movie. I think Kesey's really good in the role. I like him better than Perlman. I don't remember the other guy too well. I don't think I saw that one. Oh, David Harbour. Yeah, I don't like him in general, so I don't think I would have liked his take on it. Both Perlman and Harbour, they're bigger personalities than the role. Kesey isn't as known, at least not to me, so I felt he immersed himself in the role better. So yeah, I would totally 100% recommend. Don't sleep on this. If you're a Hellboy fan, this is an absolute must. I'm sure you've already seen it if you're a Hellboy fan, but 100% a very decent adaptation of the comic. Totally within the spirit of the comic. Very creepy. Great moments all around. All right. Let's get into the spoiler review. So spoilers ahoy. First act, Hellboy and some of the agents from the BPRD, I think that's it, are transporting this weird creature through coal mining country when Hellboy starts hearing some evil in sort of the background noise. Well, it wakes up the creature. There's a fight on the train. One of the agents is killed, and the boxcar falls off the train with Hellboy and Joe, the female Japanese agent, with it. They try to capture the spider. There's a big long fight scene, but eventually the spider shrinks itself down and goes into the coal mines. Then Hellboy and Joe walk to town, but there's not much of a town. They don't have any phones. It's 1959, and they're in the middle of like the Ozarks. So they start to get to know the locals as they're trying to make their way to some kind of civilization, and they get caught up in a bunch of witch nonsense that Joe wants to explore. Field work and whatnot. So they go, and they meet this sort of doomed witch, and then another witch that are tied into this guy named Tom Farrell. Tom's father is missing, and one of the witches had turned him into a horse and made him walk around. He dies after Tom gets him back, and he turns back into a human. So Tom wants to bury him. So second act, they go to this church to bury his dad, but they are followed by the Crooked Man, who they were warned about earlier in the movie. And along the way, they lose Tom Farrell's ex-girlfriend, who was a witch. And Tom Farrell is struggling with his own fight against evil because he wanted to become a witch, and then he realized it was a mistake halfway through, but he got this lucky cat bone that allows him to do various things. But it's unclear if he's a witch or not. But they meet this blind preacher at the church who's going to help him, But then the witches show up and the Crooked Man show up. But the witches and the Crooked Man can't walk on hallowed ground. But they attempt to attack our heroes in the church by doing various things, and eventually sending zombies after them. And this big zombie scene. It's very cool. So just nothing but cool scenes in this. Then Tom and Hellboy decide that they're going to go after the Crooked Man in his house, because the Crooked Man has a bit of a history in the area and he lived in this house, so they're going to go in it and battle him. But back at the church, Joe figures out or surmises that early in the movie, Tom said that the coal mine shafts run around the area like veins, and that she theorizes that the Crooked Man is somehow using the coal mine as some sort of power base for his supernatural power. So her and the blind preacher go down there, along with he takes his shovel, which they kind of enchanted during the previous fight, and they do battle with the Crooked Man's crows, and in the process the pastor's killed. Joe survives and then is wandering around the dark because her light goes out in the coal mine. She eventually runs into the spider, which I guess the implication is the spider and its powers sort of added to the Crooked Man. But she defeats the spider by using magic, which the witch warned her not to do. She didn't use magic, but she had studied it, and then the witch warns her not to use it, but she uses it to get the spider, and she defeats the spider, and eventually she somehow gets back to the church. But meanwhile, because Joe did that, the Crooked Man is now less powerful, and Hellboy is able to defeat him. And he does. And he kills him. And then him and Tom come back to the church, reunite with Joe, and then it's basically the end of the movie. It ends kind of odd and abruptly, but there wasn't much more after that. I would have liked, they basically get on a helicopter and that's the end of the movie. So, I would have liked something, I don't know, something a little more than that. I would have liked a shot of Hellboy's mentor. I think he was still alive in 59, the old man. But I guess they didn't want to hire an actor just for that one scene. But overall, I'd give it an 8.5 at least, maybe a 9. I think it does total justice to the character in the comic. Mignola was involved in it. Feels like they really nailed the tone of the damn thing. That to me was one of the hardest things that I don't think the other movies nailed, at least not the Ron Perlman ones I saw. The tone wasn't quite there. It was close. It was a little too big budget movie. This, the tone of this was perfect. The look of it was perfect. The look of the other one was a little too polished. The earlier ones. This one, it's rough, and I like that. You've got some great scenes that look good. There's some CGI stuff. I think it looks fine. There's a lot of practical effects. If you're a Hellboy fan, this is 100% your movie. 100%. And even if you're not, but you like horror and action kind of movies, maybe a little bit of comedy. It wasn't very comedic, but Hellboy's not that comedic. Mike Mignola's relatively serious with this character. Every once in a while he drops a funny thing, but he's not a comedian, so he never was really all that funny of a character. 100% recommend Hellboy the Crooked Man. I think you'll enjoy it. It's a nice tight movie. Not a lot of fat here. Not a lot of scenes of people introducing themselves or walking in the rooms or any of that crap. It just goes from one thing to the next. It's very nicely paced. Cool effects, a lot of fun. So, yeah, I highly recommend. And that's it for me, Tony D and Little Joan. Check us out on the green site, the orange site, and the black site for more videos. Thanks to all who came out to the Dickens Craft Fair today. I did really well. And the Maker's Workshop in Laurel Springs. The Dickens Craft Show was in Mays Landing. Definitely want to go back to that next year. Tomorrow, I'll be at the Holiday Extravaganza in Hainesport, New Jersey from 10 to 1 at a place called Dansations. It's Dansations. Instead of a C, it's an S. And that's in Hainesport. So I hope to see you there. We'll see you